In this video, I will show some random tips on how to save energy when using Blender. See for yourself what tips could be helpful. Tip number 1. Use your phone where possible. For example, you could turn off your PC and do your research on the phone before you start a project. Or you can collect reference pictures and upload them to the cloud. Your PC uses more electricity than your phone, so if you could reduce the time your PC is on, that would help you save some electricity. Tip number 2. This is a tip you didn't think of. Sometimes we start our PC and instead of working on a goal, we think like, come what may. What I mean is when we start a Blender, we see a button where we've never seen before and think, wow, that's cool. Maybe I can make something with this. There's nothing wrong with assigning some time to explore Blender, but this approach shouldn't be a workflow to work on a project. So if you want to save time on your PC, you could think out what you want to accomplish and why. Do you really want to start this project? What are the benefits? Or should you do something else? But don't doubt forever. There must be a time you made your decision and be productive. Tip number 3. I always went for photorealism, but I start to wonder if photorealism is that important. First, it takes quite some processing time. And secondly, do people appreciate photorealism more than stylistic renders? Think about the uncanny valley, where things look off when a render is supposed to be photorealistic, but not completely. You spend a lot of time and research making photorealistic renders, which might not even be possible in 3D content creation applications like Blender. I think it's an idea to consider stylistic renders. Tip number 4. Cycles becomes faster and faster. There are even Blender builds to make rendering times shorter, but still, Eevee renders much quicker than Cycles. With the proper settings in Eevee, you can render 1080p in 6 or 7 seconds per frame. However, it could be possible with Cycles also, but there's a thing. In Eevee, it is noise-free. Of course, Eevee has downsides such as limitations and screen space artifacts. But if you consider those, I believe it's worth to take a look at Eevee. Another reason to use Eevee is the real-time feedback in the 3D viewport. After working with Eevee for months, I went back to Cycles and said, no, I cannot work with the slow feedback in the 3D viewport. If you are interested in working with Eevee, take a look at the Eevee Production Suite. There's a link in the comments. Tip number 5. There are many things that distract us from being productive. For example, reading the news every 2 hours, reading information or checking your social media. It's very easy to do. We just need to press a few buttons and then we can read the news. But that doesn't make us productive. Could it be an idea to assign yourself to read the news and the like for like an hour a day? Being productive can be hard sometimes. We might get stuck and at those moments we think, time for a break. When my drive was so high that I didn't want to give myself break times, for that reason, I learned something. I knew we needed to push a bit more to solve problems when we got stuck. It was like this. To solve a problem, we must first solve another problem, and maybe first another one. And that is precisely the moments we often think like, wow, it's time for a break. And I noticed my productivity was higher when I pushed a little bit to solve the problems and the other problems. And when I did that, I noticed I finished a project within a month instead of a year, or maybe longer. This kind of pushing takes some energy and courage. And you need to assign some time for yourself to recharge after that. But then give yourself time after you were productive and not before. And tip number 6. On your PC, many things are running in the background. As a result, your PC might use more energy than needed. An idea could be to create a user profile where you only use Blender. Another idea is to visit the article by Microsoft called Tips to Improve PC Performance in Windows. You will find a link in the comments. Lastly, you could put your PC in sleeping mode instead of starting up and shutting down all the time. Sometimes starting up takes quite some energy and time, whereas sleeping mode uses just a little bit power. So these are the tips so far, and if you have ideas, I'm very curious about it. And let us know in the comments. If you share it, then we all can read it. Alright, thanks for watching.